All right, guys, let's look at this right here. I was hearing about this morning. I was listening to Pastor Yankee Arnold on one of his YouTube videos, and he was talking about Hebrews 4. And basically, it says, therefore, let us fear, if while a promise remains of entering his rest, any one of you may seem to have come short of it. So let us fear if while a promise remains. So there's still a promise that remains of entering his rest. And what is his rest? He talks about it up here. He says, as I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. And then also here it says, and God rested on the seventh day from all his works. You know, on the first day, God he created he said, let there be light, and there was light, the 6 days of creation, and then on the seventh day he rested. And it says, and God rested on the seventh day from all his works. And again, in this passage, they shall not enter my rest. Therefore, since it remains for some to enter it, and those who formerly, well, we're not going to read all that right now. It says, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. So there's a day, and it's called today, and this is the day that remains. It's called today. Therefore, let us fear if, while a promise remains, here's the promise, it's today. Well, here's the time frame today. It's not the promise, isn't today, but that's what it's talking about. While a promise remains of entering his rest, any one of you may have come short of it. So you can come short of it. Any one of you can come short of it. For indeed, we have had good news preached to us. For indeed, we, okay, remember that word right there, we. For indeed, we have had good news preached to us, just as they. So there's two groups of people here. It's the we's and the they's. So you can think of it as, over here is one group of people, the we's, and over here is another group of people called the they's, okay? So don't forget that. For indeed, we have had good news preached to us, just as they also. So two groups of people. We had the good news preached to us, just as they had the good news preached to them. Also, but the word they heard did not profit them. So the word they heard did not profit them on this side, the they's. The we's heard the word, the they's heard the word. But the they's, even though they heard the word, it did not profit them because it was not united by faith in those who heard. For we, we have the we's and the they's. So let's hear about the other side. For we who have believed enter that rest. For we who have believed. So what this passage is saying is that there's the we's and the they's, and the we's are the ones who actually believed, and the they's did not. For we who have believed enter that rest. Let's go back over here and look at the rest. And God rested from all his works. He rested on the seventh day from all his works. So there's a rest that God entered when he was creating the earth. He worked. You know, on day one, let there be light. You know, he was working. I don't remember all the days and what everything is, but there was a day when the birds were created. There was a day when the fish of the sea were created. There was a day that the trees were created. So he was on each day working, and he was building planet Earth for us. And God rested on the seventh day from all his works. Why? Because he was done. It was finished. For we who have believed enter that rest, just as he has said, as I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. So there are people who are not going to enter God's rest. And who are those people? It's those people who did not have faith, and they did not believe the word. That the work that God wants us to do is to believe. It's to have faith. It's to trust. For we who have believed enter that rest. Just like God rested on the seventh day from all his works. So this passage is explaining the simplicity of the gospel, that you every day, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts, because every day is a day that you can believe. Okay? But we need to make sure that we're fearing while a promise remains of entering his rest, because any one of you may have seemed to have come short of it. For indeed, we have had good news preached to us, just as they also, but the word they heard did not profit them, because it was not united by faith in those who heard. For we who have believed enter that rest, just as he has said, as I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest. Although his works were finished from the foundation of the world. This is God, talking about God. Although his works were finished from the foundation of the world, for he has said somewhere concerning the seventh day, and God rested on the seventh day from all his works. And again in this passage, they shall not enter my rest. Therefore, since it remains for some to enter it, and those who formerly had good news preached to them failed to enter because of disobedience. And disobedience means, what did God tell them to do? Believe. So if they did not do what God told them to do, which was believe, guess what? That's called disobedience. It's not disobedience to working. This is where everybody gets confused. They think that you have to work and do good works to be saved. You're disobeying when you don't believe that it's already done. It's already done. He says it's already done. He did it all. And he wants us to believe, because, like I said, this group of people, they didn't enter. It didn't profit them because it was not united by faith in those who heard. The difference is being contrasted to those who believed and those who did not believe and did not have faith in what Jesus did. Because God rested on the seventh day from all his works. Therefore, since it remains for some to enter it, and those who formerly had good news preached to them failed to enter because of disobedience, that means not believing, he again fixes a certain day. Today is the day that you can believe. As long as you're alive, you have the ability to believe. Saying through David, after so long a time, just as has been said before, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. If it's up to us, none of us will ever be saved. If it's up to us and it's up to our works and it's up to what we can do, what we can perform, none of us are going to get in. None of us are going to get in. So if it's up to us, none of us are going to get in. For if Joshua had given them rest, he would not have spoken of another day after that. So there remains a Sabbath rest for the people of God. For the one who has entered his rest, he himself also rested from his works. So God wants you also to rest from your works as God did from his. All right, I just wanted to share that with what I was listening to this morning. Pastor Ralph Yankee Arnold has a lot of good videos on his YouTube channel, and this was one thing he was going over, so I wanted to share it as well. Have a great day. Bye.